What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and I'm a blind film critic. This is a second look at Twister. It's currently available on Max, which is Warner Brothers, which is the studio that has released Twisters into movie theaters. So logic would say it's time to make an audio description track for the original film, especially considering that they keep promoting Twister on Max pretty heavily if you're looking at it and you see it up there. It's up there. Uh, it does not have audio description, and this is a film that screams audio description. Uh, so, what was this experience like? I can pretty much summarize it, but I want to introduce myself first. I have a black baseball cap on backwards. I've got black sunglasses on, and I'm wearing a Ghostbusters t-shirt. I'll also preface it with the fact that I do like Twister. Before I lost my vision, I own this on Blu-ray. It also does not have audio description on Blu-ray. So I just went ahead. It didn't really matter like if I clicked on Max or actually got up and put my Blu-ray in. So I just used the Max thing because I figured it was the most accessible way that anybody else would watch Twister right now. And it just doesn't have audio description. So I originally, when this film came out, I was sort of living in Tornado Alley as a kid. Like I was in high school when this movie came out. Middle school, high school, junior high maybe. I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, where was I? I was in like junior high, and I was in like Tornado Alley. So like this was, like I don't know, maybe like a premonition of things. So yeah, it's of course, there was always that story about the fact that a drive-in actually got hit while playing Twister. Just like in the film, like a tornado gets hit. In the film, there was a tornado that hit a drive-in that was playing Twister, which just seems really like meta for back in the day. I always remember that story. That's always stuck out in my mind. And I enjoyed the film. I love the film. I think it's a classic sort of 90s action film. If you're excited, I'm going to just go ahead and say watch it. If you've never seen it before, my nostalgic grade for this would be like an A. I mean, I have a great memory of this. I don't know, it's one of like my favorite films of all time where I need to put it on as like a comfort film, especially now that I'm blind. It just, without audio description, it's actually really fucking unwatchable. But it would be nice to be able to watch something, with the late great Bill Paxton in it, the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, and actually embrace this. We've also got, I don't want to leave out, Helen Hunt, Carrie Elways. There are other people in this film. We've got, I don't know, that's enough. Everybody else is just sort of like part of the crew. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman is part of this like crew. It's not, anyway, what I got from watching it as a blind person is the sound design's really good. In terms of the tornado effects and everything. It's kind of weird because I did sort of have to turn up the volume louder than I normally have to. I don't know if it's because of the rip of the copy that Twister has, but once I had the film loud enough, like it was fine, but it's like it didn't want to get too loud, but I could barely hear the dialogue. Like at the normal volume at which I play everything was too quiet for this. Even when the tornado was ripping through, I was like, that's the loudest that this film gets. So I like turned the volume up. So it's like not at the normal volume of everything else that usually plays. Weird. It's, yeah, whatever. For whatever reason, I don't know. The audio description, non-existent, it so needs it. You don't know any of the destruction. You don't get, there's some of the funny jokes, with flying cows and driving through houses. Those are missed. Every time that they're trying to put that device up in the sky, I think there's no tension here that can build because we never know where anybody is, what they're doing, how close they are to tornado, to imminent death, to danger, destruction. It's the whole thing. I did sit through the whole thing, by the way, all the way through. beginning to the end to try to see if there was anything salvageable here. There are a couple conversations. Probably the best moment is when they sit down inside of the house with Helen Hunt's aunt, played by Lois Smith. That's probably the, like, scene best for the blind. Nothing's really happening. They're just kind of talking. And they're mostly talking about food and how great this aunt is. But still, it's like you don't really know who these people are and how many of them were there and what does this house look like? What does aunt look like? I think she has a dog. It just, like, there's so many like unanswered questions, but it was the least crazy scene in the film that it didn't rely on action. It was like, oh, we're gonna eat a meal with Lois Smith and the great Lois Smith. Um, so yeah, I just I'm putting this out there because I think my interpretation when studios and distributors continue to put product out there for us that doesn't have audio description is that they think that the film is accessible for us, because God forbid the other answer would be is we don't want blind people to watch this. This is not for you, which is not a message that I think they want to send. So the message must be that this is watchable without audio description. Newsflash, it's not. Twister is not you would have, if you've never seen Twister before, near impossible task of following this film. It is just a lot of loud noises and them doing things and shouting in the wind, and I think you would have a really hard time. You'd probably think that this was just like a guy trying to get divorce papers signed, the movie. Um, and just there's just like a really bad weather is just it's making it really hard for him to get these divorce papers signed, and the movie's far more complex than that, and there's so much more to this film. And I think the artists who worked on the film and spent all the time doing this is the 90s. In the 90s, we used to rely still on practical effects because visual effects were not there fully yet. So for a lot of times, they actually did do things. I am 100% sure he actually drives through a house. Like, I don't know that it was a real house, but it was a practical set of a house. So they actually filmed that. They didn't make a VFX version of that. So there are things here that really visually looked great because they actually happened, instead of just green screening everything. And so people put a lot of time and energy and craft into this and toiled and whatever. And we have actors here who are no longer with us, so there might be reasons for people to want to revisit the careers of Philip Seymour Hoffman or Bill Paxton. And you can't really do that if all their films don't have audio description. This film is directed by John DeBont, who directed Speed, which I just reviewed not too long ago for its 30th anniversary. It's the 30th anniversary this year of Speed. And then he went on to make Twister. So, great action director from the 90s. But yeah, this is, sadly, I'm here to report that this is unwatchable. That's my final grade. It's very disappointing because Warner Brothers has an opportunity here to bring in new fans to Twisters, which you could say, look at the box office Twisters and they're really doing bad. It's like, just this is, when you look at success at the box office, and you have to wonder, but was everybody really brought in? You know, are there people out there who felt left out because they couldn't watch the original? Is there somebody because it's been a long time. When you have a legacy sequel that has this depth of time between them, there are going to be people who were either too young when Twister came out or were not born who are going to go watch Twisters. So they're going to want to see Twister, but they can't watch it if it doesn't have audio description. For example, when Top Gun Maverick came out, I actually hadn't seen Top Gun. Luckily, Top Gun, Paramount did put audio description on Top Gun, So I was able to enjoy the whole experience of being able to fully understand Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Here, you wouldn't be able to have that experience with Twister and Twisters. So you'd only be able to understand one of the two of them. It's just about respect. It's about doing the right thing. And unfortunately, Warner Brothers doesn't value that. It didn't do that here. So this feels like a title I would have fast tracked. It's not like they don't know what their release calendar looks like, and it's not like they don't know what titles they do and don't have the rights to, and they don't plan this. Things just don't happen to these multi-billion-dollar companies on the fly. Somebody didn't just like run in the room and be like, we got Twister, we gotta put it on Max. We got Twister right now. It's like that didn't happen. They knew it was coming, and they did nothing. So, because it didn't matter to them. I don't matter to them. You don't matter to them. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.